Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the How to Life podcast, and you are listening to episode 28. I'm happy you're listening today because this is an incredible interview about one of my favorite topics, gratitude. I did a whole solo podcast about this when I first launched. It was episode 2, The Benefits of Keeping a Gratitude List. Gratitude is one of the tenets of my life philosophy. Discovering the power of gratitude has been life-changing for me, and if I could impart only one piece of advice for anyone, it would be that. Can you tell? I am really excited about this show. And here is the backstory of how it came about. A few years ago, I was at probably the lowest point in my life, and I didn't know how to get myself out. And in my search for meaning and peace, I came across the exercise of keeping a gratitude list. Something about it resonated with me, and it felt manageable, so I started keeping a journal, and I would try to write all the good things that happened to me that day at night. What I found out was that by the end of the day, I would forget all the little things, so I felt like nothing good was happening at all. And then I found an app called Gratitude, Journal and Reminders. It was simple, and the interface was pretty and soothing, and most importantly, it allowed me to jot down things that I was grateful for as soon as they occurred because it was on my phone. Fast forward to today, and things have improved tremendously for me. Actually, it's probably more accurate to say that I have improved tremendously. Not everything goes the way I want. I experience pain and disappointment just like all people, but I'm no longer rendered helpless and down for the count. I have learned to focus on the good and focus on what I can control, which is me, my reaction, and my emotions. So last month, I was writing in my gratitude app, and a notice appeared inviting me to take a 7-day challenge. Even though I write down everything I'm grateful for daily, I took the challenge because, more gratitude isn't going to hurt anyone. At the end of the challenge, I received an email asking if I would get on a Zoom call with the creator of the app, Pritesh Sankhe, to give him my input and feedback about it. Of course I was going to do that. I accepted. And a week later, I was speaking to the man who has literally played a significant role in my personal journey. His app was the impetus. It was the turning point that led me to where I am now. My life philosophy and attitude have been shaped because of this incredible app, and now I am sharing that same message in my own way. Originally, Pritesh wanted to ask for my feedback on the app, but instead I think I rambled on about what I just described to you, and he did not get a word in edgewise. And then I asked him to be a guest on my show, and thankfully for me, he said yes. So here we are. You're about to hear from a truly humble, kind, and generous man about how he came to create the app called Gratitude and how one spark can ignite and transform millions. Hello, Pritesh, and welcome to the How to Life podcast.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's awesome to be here.
I am very grateful to have you on this show. This is a huge win for me. I'm sort of a fan. I'm a fan, and I'm very excited that you are on this show. It's gigantic. So before we get into the story, because I am so excited to hear your story of how you came to produce this app, which virtually changed my life, please introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and tell us what you do.
Sure. So my name is Pritesh Sankhe. I'm from India. I live in Mumbai, and I'm the maker of the Gratitude app. This is something that I started about 2.5 years back. And I've been an engineer by heart. I was working at Facebook as a software engineer, and then I left Facebook. I was consulting with other startups, helping them solve their problems. And, Gratitude just started because out of a very personal need, I was not thinking about gratitude as something that I wanted to build, very intentionally. It, I think, happened just by accident.
What happened that sort of led you on this path to gratitude, which eventually inspired you to create the app?
I still remember it was June 2017. and I was staying with my parents and my younger sister. And things were well. Like, I was doing great professionally. But what happened was, my dad, he's been a government employee for 35 years, and he was a victim of politics at his job. So what happened was, he was about to receive a job promotion, and then that did not happen because of the politics, and him helpless and disempowered started affecting me and our family. So what happened is, we fought for him. We took to court. We fought for his justice, but things didn't work. And during that time, people felt manipulative. They felt like they wanted to harm us. Nobody thought good about us. That was the feeling that I got, because things weren't just working our way. We didn't know what to do, and that sort of like triggered negativity in my mindset. I started hating people. I started feeling more angry for small little things, and I started having these panic attacks, and I would just become frantic and call out people for help. And small problems started becoming bigger, and I just went into that negative loop. So I was feeling very, very disempowered and helpless in that situation, right? And it was not just about my dad. Even though I was doing great professionally, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt like I'm just going along a path which is not in my control. And when things like this happen, anxiety takes over. I was trying to stay positive, but felt very difficult at that time.
Did you not have any tools at that time to cope with this?
You know, if any were to, like, I think, look at me 3 years back and think that I would build gratitude, I think it would be like, are you kidding me? Because I was like this engineer, this very logical person. I wasn't spiritual, and I didn't even believe. So when you say, like, were there tools? I don't know. I just didn't seek tools. I thought it's how it is meant to be. This is the way it is. And maybe, like, there's nothing I can do.
What was your experience in turning into the direction of gratitude? What was the thing that made you sort of go in a different direction?
For me, the support system was, at that time, was my family. And as a family, we weren't doing great at that time. My girlfriend had gifted me the book The Secret and Rich Dad Poor Dad. The book The Secret, and I just picked up that book because I was trying to find out solution. How should I deal with things? The book spoke a lot to me.
So I like to say it resonated with you and you just started thinking about things differently.
Right.
What else happened?
I think at that time, that book sort of spoke to me, and then I started asking that questions. What is it that I am thinking, or am I even asking? So it said, like, you ask and you receive, but what was I asking at that moment? And a couple of other things that stuck to me was, the more grateful you are, you would have more things to be grateful for. The gratitude word was not clearly mentioned there, but eventually I realized it has to do with gratitude. And I knew what gratitude was, but I did not took the literal meaning of it. It never came to me like the way it did at that time. What else happened was, I then started researching a little bit more. When I say researching, I started reading the self-help books. I also attended this Mind Power workshop, which was a 2-day workshop where it also talked about positive affirmations. How do you go about creating your own vision? And these were the activities that I had never did in my life. Like, I didn't even know about all this. But yeah, I felt like, oh wow, these are things that empower me. Suddenly, the disempowering thoughts were starting to, like, sort of diminish. I started finding empowering tools to overcome those disempowering thoughts.
You
Yeah,
mentioned something earlier on. You said law of attraction. And I
right.
want to point out to you that,
Hmm.
your father had a situation and he sort of went into a downward spiral. And since you
Yeah.
were all living together, it kind of
Hmm.
rubbed off on everybody. So
That's correct. Yeah.
you started not feeling well, and your sister wasn't feeling well, and everyone was noticing all of the things they didn't like. And again, that's law of attraction working beautifully just in the negative. You hear the expression, when it rains, it pours. or, waking up on the wrong side of the bed and then the rest of the day just continues to go downhill. So being aware of that, because thoughts create things, your thoughts create what shows up in your life, and making the mind shift that you did, there comes a point where you start realizing that relationship.
Yeah, that's totally true. I think it works both ways. It's also about asking those wrong kind of questions. I think during that time I was asking questions, why does this happen with us? Why people deal with us or talk to us or behave with us like this? Why doesn't my dad get what he wants? So this were kind of these questions I think I was asking. And then I think with law of attraction, or even our brain tries to seek answers to this kind of questions, and eventually you get lousy answers. It starts to make us feel that we are not worthy or we do not deserve all this. We tried all the illogical things, like not taking the responsibility on ourselves, but saying that maybe it's to do with our house. Our vastu is wrong, and maybe these things are happening to us because it's our house direction, or it might be because it has to do with our past, or it must be to do with someone doing black magic on us. So all these things were there. We also rented another apartment because we thought it was a problem. And we also called a spiritual healer because we thought there were negative energies. Essentially, I think we were taking responsibility for what was
Correct.
happening to us on
Yes,
ourselves. Yeah.
that is very, very true. Many people, when things are going bad, they look outside of themselves. Or if they want to feel happy, they think it's outside of themselves. So people who are in a job, I hate my job. And then they move to the next job and they're happy for a little bit, but then the same situation happens there. If you take a real honest look at yourself and all the situations that have occurred in your life, you will find you're the common denominator, whether it's
Yeah.
whether it's bad or not. And that is huge, because when you realize it's me, I'm the one that has brought this bad situation to me, then you can also say, I am the one that brought this good situation to me. And now you are truly empowered. You are in control of what happens to your life. And every once in a while, something unpleasant happens, something is unexpected happens. But the one thing you can control is how you react to it, how your attitude is. And it can be challenging to do because it's right in your face. You are surrounded by this unpleasantness, which is where the gratitude app really saved me, because I was determined to find every little scrap of wonder, of beauty, and write it down. And they were tiny, but a bunch of tiny things, 50 tiny things on my daily gratitude list turns into a pretty amazing day when you look and read back on it.
Completely. We were not taking that responsibility on ourselves. I think when we were deep into that moment, owning up that responsibility, it just does not come naturally. And when I started owning up is when I started to journal. So I had never journaled in my life before. And specifically gratitude journaling, I did not understand at that time. I started using this Google Keep app, and even I would sort of then start to list down what are the things that I'm grateful for. The journaling aspect asked me to introspect and own up that responsibility, start asking me better questions, make me feel empowered.
If you ask a junky question, you'll get a junky answer. And if you ask the question correctly, the question answers itself.
That's correct. Yeah, that's a great point. Like I said, right? If I were to ask question that why does this happen to me, the question itself has that answer. The answer is like I'm not deserving, or I'm not worthy. Whereas if I ask question like how can I make this situation better, then you start thinking about empowering things. You're not going to answer that saying that you're not deserving. I think you're going to ask questions that, oh, maybe I could do this, or I could ask my mentor, or you'll come up with some great amazing answers, which are definitely empowering.
You had mentioned earlier that it was hard for you to do it first because you weren't used to it. And anybody who is curious about keeping a gratitude list or trying to change their perspective on something, It takes practice, just like anything. If you want to learn the piano, you just start at the beginning. Anything new starts with practice, and you just go small. Don't go for the big wins. In the beginning, I would write my gratitude list, and then 5 minutes later, because I had this momentum of poor me and why is this happening to me, I would forget. So I got in the habit of rereading at the end of the day everything that happened that day. I was like, oh, that was good. And then the next day, if I forgot, if I fell off again, I would read the previous day. And I would be reminded that, wow, a lot of good things happened that day. And nothing has changed since yesterday to the next day of feeling terrible. Nothing major has changed. I just have to change my perspective on it, my view, my attitude. But it just takes practice and it gets easier and easier and you get stronger and stronger like any endeavor, anything you do. Keeping a gratitude list feels good.
Yes, I agree with that. I remember when you pointed this out, how it was early on when I started, because this was so new to me. The first entry, I still remember that journal entry because I speak about it, I share that. I still have it written in my Google Keep. Is during that time when we were trying to figure out solutions for overcoming the trauma. I remember my first journal entry was just being hopeful. It was about like, I'm grateful that at least we're together in this as a family. But when I started writing the small things, I started finding happiness in small things. And then I wrote about how people help us. We had help for food, for cleaning our home. So I was grateful to them because they come every day, they feed us.
Were you
Yeah.
the only one keeping a gratitude list at that time? Was your father or your sister, or you started on your own?
I started this on my own because I was not sure whether this is something that could really bring a change. I generally do not vouch for something if that has not affected me. So this was a good 6 months, just me doing.
Did you have a change in your perspective after 6 months, just on your own? Did you
Correct.
find that you, on your
Mm.
own, were feeling better?
Yes, I think, one of the things that I literally saw a change in me was my anger. I was a very angry person. It was difficult for me to manage my anger. And that would eventually lead me to like stress and like taking bad decisions. But I think that was my weakest thing. I would just get, annoyed with anything small. So let's say if I'm stuck in traffic, I will get annoyed. If there's something that the person doesn't work or doesn't seem to be responding the way I want, then I will get angry. So the situations did not change. You're right. There's this beautiful quote from Rumi that has stuck to me, right? Yesterday I was clever, so I was trying to change the world. Today I'm wise, and so I'm changing myself. I
Yes.
love that quote. And I think that is what was happening in the process. So the whole process was, how do I shift my focus from something that disempowers me to something that makes me smile, something that makes my day, something that I'm taking for granted. I feel that I subconsciously decided I'm not going to ask anyone to change. Let just me focus on myself. And that was great. You know why? Because then I was not under that whole pressure of trying to change so many things at once.
When you only have to worry about yourself, it takes a lot of
Right.
pressure off of you. The best thing you can do for anybody is to get yourself in the best vibration, the best state of mind, the best perspective. Then you have more power or more leverage to help those you love who may be dragging behind a little bit. Gratitude gets you there.
Yes, and I'm still learning. What you pointed out was really beautiful. I have come to realize that it's very important for me to be in an energy state. It's about that vibration, about that whole energy state that I want to be in, so that you are in that state of mind. You start talking in a certain way. You start doing things in that way. You start thinking things in that way, right? Because you have kept yourself in that energy state. I think that's really very important. And definitely, you don't have to own up that responsibility of keeping others and bring them to that energy state. And there's another beautiful thing that I'd heard. There's a limit to how much you can motivate someone, but there's definitely no limit as to how much you can inspire someone. So I think it's important that you change so that people get inspired by you.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I think that's fact. That's something that I probably learned through this journey.
I did too. And I'm still learning also. We're always learning. But I love this story. And 6 months you were on your own. Your family noticed that there was something different about you. Your mood had improved. Did they start changing at that time also?
So I think first was my sister. So she took to gratitude journaling. I think I inspired her in some way, and she's I think the most super user of the app because she went through a lot of ups and downs, and I've seen how she has now been able to handle so well. She sends out this gratitude letters to me saying that it's so amazing that you've created this app and has helped me. I have her friends telling me that, and my parents are a very different way of keeping a gratitude journal. Sometimes they also write about God because again, like we have been a religious family, like we have faith. So for my parents, the beginning was more like faith, and then now even they are like amazing users of the app. They have started noticing small things, so they will like write what they feel and what they're thankful for. I have seen a whole transformation in my family as well. There's still the ups and downs, like
It
even
doesn't
like
matter. You
right,
can't always be on an upward trajectory. There are little
yeah,
dips, but now you
right,
have tools to help you get back on. And you'll find over time and with you keep practicing, the drops aren't so drastic. You're more level than you are completely up and down. But you had mentioned that your family is very religious and they believe very much in faith. But keeping a gratitude list is completely in line with faith. It
yeah,
doesn't take away from your religion at all. In fact, it only enhances it.
yes.
I want to know, when did the idea come to you about making an app?
So I have been a techie, I have been an engineer, and I always want to build things. But I always had this itch of building something that people will love to use. Somewhere I wanted it was always in my mission that I want to impact millions of people in a very significant way. These were the driving forces, but the app was for me. I wanted just a very simple app where I could write what I was writing about in my Google Keep and I could give my personality to it. And then, of course, like photos, I would be like, okay, I want to capture this moment. And I would have like this reminder. I used to write at 9 a.m. before I begin my day because I wanted to feel, I think, empowered and start my day on a very good note. I think that's how the idea came. It was more like I wanted to build this for me because I was in my own journey, as I told you, right? So that was it. But 6 months, 7, 8 months down the line, I sort of said, oh, maybe this is good. So one day I just sat down and I say that I'm going to complete all the pending tasks and roll this out. So, this was after 8 months. Like the app was there, but it was not available to everyone. And 8 months later, I'm like, okay, maybe like now is the time.
The perfect time. So you waited for the feeling to hit you and you rolled it out. How was it received?
Oh, wow. This journey of with gratitude has been incredible. The first month we had like 500 people, so I did a little bit of promotions because I was curious as to does this also help other people.
Right.
So we had like 500 people the first month, and then they would write to me that this is great and they will love this another extra thing if it would into the app. So I started to listening to the people, and there's this amazing thing that happened. I am an Android person, so I built the Android app, and I have a friend who is now my partner, who is the co-founder of the app, who is the co-maker of the app, and he's the iOS person. And at that time, he was working at a job, and I asked him, "Hey, I'm doing this," and he didn't even ask me anything, and he built the app on the iOS for the iPhone devices, and it was like amazing. Like things just happened to me, and I was like, "This is something really great," because I don't even have that strong intent that I have to make this big, but it just seems to be like working, and then just within 2 3 months we had 30,000 users.
That's a big
So
jump.
I know it was really amazing. And then the kind of feedback that I started getting, and I'm not even kidding, when I used to get just one 5-star rating during the day, I would write in my gratitude journal that I'm grateful that I started receiving a lot of love. I started receiving a lot of blessings, and I started really connecting with people. That after after September, I was like, you know what, I'm going to spend all of my time on this. I'm going to commit to this. I want to really empower not just me, but anyone and everyone that I can. I want to impact millions of people in a very significant way. And gratitude felt like maybe this could be one of the ways to do that.
It
So,
definitely was. I mean, you empowered me, Pritesh. I'm very grateful. It's been wonderful for me. I have gotten my children using it, especially my youngest one who's 14. She looks for things to write on it, and it's fun. It's fun to review. She has shared it with her friends. I would love for you to tell the audience here about some of the features of the app. It has changed over the years. I've been watching it for these last 2 years, and I love the additions. So tell us all about it.
sure, yeah. So, again, like the first version was just being able to write and have these pastel colors. And most of the changes that we do is very driven from the people who use the app, because we are always trying to listen how can we improve. So right now, one of the best things that users love is we have this reminders which ask you questions like, hey, what was the best part about today, or what is it something that you learned today, questions that empower you, questions that will shift your focus to things that are really important to you. We try to do a lot of personalization. So we want to add more colors. So you can have, like, every journal entry, you can color it. And we started it primarily as a journaling app, but there are three components to the app. So the first one is the journaling bit. The second one is the positive self affirmations. And the third one is where we try to give a dose of positivity for the day. We call it a daily Zen. We want people to spend like just a couple of minutes in the Zen mode, just noticing things, just taking that moment to like breathe and let it settle in. So the daily Zen, the journaling, and the self affirmation. So this is like what the app is bundled right now. In journaling, you can write as many entries as you love, and the app always will remind you. You can set up to three reminders. I feel like reminders are also sometimes when they're random, they're kind of a signals from the universe asking you to, hey, take a moment and like focus on this.
Yeah. And it also helps in the
Yeah,
beginning when you don't think that that was something to be
yeah,
grateful for.
exactly. So we try to make it more guided now by having the 7-day challenge.
That's new,
That's
the
new.
7 day challenge, which is great for beginners because you have little prompts.
Yes, we got some amazing feedback on that as well. And so next month, we're going to have 14-day gratitude challenge where we want to focus on the little things, noticing the little things that are just around you, but may go unnoticed, or you just need a reminder. One of the amazing features that I personally love is writing a letter of gratitude. So sometimes I take a moment to think about the person, or it could be anyone, anything that had a positive impact on me, and then write a letter and then share it. We had a challenge around letters of gratitude, and it was one of the best. We have an option where you can backup and restore. So if you were to change devices, you can still have the journal. If you're even switching from Android to iPhone,
Yeah.
you can do that, and you can export it as a PDF so that you can print it out and you have like a diary of sorts. But it's just that we want to help people to focus on being grateful, becoming more grateful, and we also have then affirmations which are there to improve your self image.
So where
Yes.
are you now? After 2 months, you were at 30,000. How many are you at now?
Wow. So across Android and iOS, we have 1 million total. Yeah, 1 million.
How
We
do
have
you
reached
feel
1 million.
about that? It started with
It's
just, it was for you. And then you thought, I really would love to empower the world and help people. And now you have reached 1 million people. How do you feel about that?
it's really magical because to be in some part of the world and being able to connect in a very meaningful way across like people who are in different parts of the world, that's for me, it's complete magic.
You must love your job.
Yeah, I totally do. Recently, my focus was I wanted to talk to a lot of people who are using the app, and I wanted to understand them better, how can improve.
By the way, I was very impressed by that. I use a lot of apps, and no creator has ever written to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to get on a Zoom call with you and ask you about the app." And that makes it even, I don't know, more personal. I feel, wow, this person really cares about me. And I care about you because I wanted to tell you how amazing your app is and how grateful I am for it. So I love the way our meeting worked out. There are no accidents.
Totally. Like I had this conversation with you. I felt so empowered. And I see that positive energy when I talk, like with you. I could sense that positivity. We all have journeys where we have ups and downs, but at that particular moment, when I see so much of positivity and gratitude, I see that, and that is something that is magnificent. I really don't have words to describe it. And you telling me you about your journey and inspiring me, it just inspires me. Like now I have seen myself growing very spiritually. I seem to connect with people better. The gratitude app has allowed me to grow emotionally, more empathetic, more living, more connected.
Yeah, it
So,
leads to humility and kindness. They're just all positives. And I
yeah,
want to share this app with as many people as possible as well. So, how can we find your app? Give us the details.
sure. So, you could go directly on the Play Store or the App Store and search for gratitude or gratitude journal. It's a heart shaped icon with a plant. It's like a growing heart logo. And you can go to our website, which is gratefulness.me, or you can also go to our Instagram handle, which is again gratefulness.me, the same as the website. And we do a lot of things on our Instagram channel as well. In fact, like most of our people who use the app also reach out to us directly over DM.
Well, this has been a great interview. I am just so filled with gratitude. And I just wanted to read my entry here. You guys can't see the video, but Pritesh can. Can you see that? This was my
It's
entry
bright.
on Monday, October 19th, 2020. I have a lot of things here, and one of them says, well, here it is. This is the exact word: Zoom call with Pritesh, founder of the app, triple exclamation point. And then I have in all bold, he agreed to be a guest on my podcast. This is kind of a big deal. I had a great conversation with you last week, and this one was even better. And I'm so appreciative of you. I am amazed and delighted that I got to meet you. I am absolutely thrilled that I get to share your story and your app with my audience. And I am going to go follow you on Instagram. And I'm really looking forward to everything that you're going to be putting out with the app in the future. Tell us about the 14-day challenge. When is this coming up?
So it's going to start at around 15th November and then go on to till about 29, 30 at the end of November.
It's a great way to start for anybody who wants to learn how to do this. The app is so fun and easy to use and colorful and pretty. The prompts are amazing, and there'll be a big collective doing it. So it'll be a real fun step-by-step journey. And you might get to talk with Pritesh at the end if you complete the whole thing, which is an absolute delight.
Yes, and this has been amazing, Laura. Like I usually listen to other people telling me about their stories, and I usually don't have the chance to be talking much about myself. But you giving me that opportunity, I just felt great about that. So I'm grateful to you for helping me to get to reach to you, and then with the podcast. So it's amazing. Like this is nothing less than magic. 7,000 miles away from me, and still being able to chat and have this amazing podcast.
This was a great interview. Pritesh, thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Completely my pleasure. Thanks, Laura. Thank you so much.
I am still very much in awe of how this whole connection came about, how everything unfolded in both of our lives that led to our paths crossing and this moment of connection. I am just delighted. I am so fortunate and blessed to meet such wonderful people in this world who are doing amazing things with enormous hearts full of kindness and generosity. I am, just honored. I'm truly grateful. Are you feeling it? Get on board. I encourage you to go with the momentum that is flowing right now and start looking for things to be grateful about. Download the app Gratitude, Journal, and Reminders. Join the 14-day challenge. It's the perfect time to start right now as we are leading up into Thanksgiving. All the links and contact information for Pritesh Sankhe and the Gratitude app can be found at howtolife.com/028. Thank you so much for sharing some time with me today. In case this is the first time you are listening to this podcast, my name is Dr. Laura Jaggett. I don't think I mentioned that in the intro. My goal here is to help take the fear out of adulting and give you some instruction and insight and inspiration on how to life. I would love for you to worry less and have more fun, and I want to share with you some wisdom to help you out. Follow along with me for more great interviews and mominars. Subscribe to the podcast and my YouTube channel, How to Life. You can also follow me on Instagram at How to Life Now. If you'd like me to make a mominar or you have a suggestion for a podcast, please send me an email to drlj@howtolife.com. I would love hearing from you. Goodbye for now. Enjoy the rest of your day and have an awesome week. I am wishing you peace, love, and light. Start noticing all the beauty around you, all the people who love you, and all the good in this world. Don't worry about a thing. You got this.